So Kamala Harris once again creating headaches for the administration, things getting heated between the vice president and a TV host by the name of Charlamagne the God after he asked this tough question.
So who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlamagne.
Come
on. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris.
So you have that, Greg, and there are other segments to this interview that are
the best part
pretty
was
interesting.
the best part, you didn't even clip it, was when he looked over to the side and he goes, oh, they can hear me. Because they claimed that they didn't hear him. The thing is, how bad is this when you're on with Charlamagne, with Simone Sanders in the control room, and it's and you have the most benevolent situation, and it's still that bad. That's why she can't do other interviews. I'm getting the feeling that the Dems want an entire clean slate for 2024. It's kind of like when you get after a car accident or when your car gets stolen and it's returned, you just want the insurance company to total the car.
Yep.
You don't want to repair the wreck. You know, it's the car's just not the same anymore. Even when they bring it into the shop, it's like still has that smell of after whoever did what in the back seat. Now you just want to get a new car. That's what the Dems want. Total it. They need an insurance company to come in and just...
You know, Dana, what he's talking about, Simone Sanders, who's leaving Kamala Harris's office at the end of this month.
And she's like, woo.
32. She was saying we can't hear the question.
Yes.
Right as Kamala Harris was about to answer the question.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, look, I think that Simone has done her best, right? And she sets up an interview for Kamala Harris that's going to be friendly. And they know that it's going to be. I have a different view about this. I think that this interview helped Kamala Harris with the people she needs to have more confidence in her, and that's their base. Midterms elections are not about independent swing voters who show up once in a while for a midterm. These are about base elections. At the end of the interview, what Charlamagne says is, that's the Kamala I have missed. That's the Kamala I want to see. So I have a feeling you're going to see a lot more of that.
Who knew that Charlamagne the God was Charlamagne the newsmaker?
I did.
Because this was not the first time. He was the one who had candidate Joe Biden on when Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
This is what people get wrong with Charlamagne. First of all, he's a liberal, and he tells people this, but he holds people accountable based on the things they said they were going to do, and that was the purpose of this interview. Kamala was not prepared. She got very defensive. I agree to a certain extent with Dana that it helped her at the end because he gave her a piece of advice to say, in the future, they want to see that prosecutor that was when the Republicans, when you grill Republicans, when the Donald Trump administration was in there. But she still didn't answer the question. First of all, we know that Charlamagne wasn't suggesting that Joe Biden was the president of the United States. The question was, who has the most power? Which is Manchin, and she refused to answer that question. He also followed up by saying, is Manchin a problem? She did not answer that question as well. And then she got in this whole thing about her being the VP, and everyone knows that. And then she had a great moment at the end where she was aggressive and but there was no substance there, which is her problem. She has great moments when they can script them out, which we saw at the early of the campaign with Joe Biden. But when you start getting into policy and where she stands on things, don't take my word for it, look at her people. Her people don't even trust her to answer the question because she clearly heard the question.
Dagan, the newly boosted Dagan McDowell, how did you hear the exchange there?
I watched the whole thing twice. Charlamagne was hand-feeding the vice president marshmallows the entire interview. He asked the same question over and over and over again, and actually a good interviewer would just move on rather than continuing to bring up Joe Manchin, Joe Manchin, Joe Manchin. She went into a 5-minute soliloquy at the beginning of the interview, and then at the end just repeated the exact same thing she had said at the beginning. And Charlamagne kept asking, when are we going to get real with the American people and know that Joe Manchin is ruining the country? He's stopping progress and ruining democracy. He just went on and on. The whole thing was just a shonda.
I do agree. The first answer went for a long time.
Well, and then the end. It was. And by the way, what the heck was Charlamagne even asking? Why is Joe Manchin allowed to constantly hold up President Biden's agenda? Kamala Harris should have said, you know, she actually had to give a poli-sci lesson in the middle of the interview. Does the president have the power to force a duly elected member of the Senate to do his bidding? No.
And on it went. In a moment here, it could be the rematch of the century, this century, in fact, what Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are saying about 2024. It's next.
Not again.
Oh, no.
For the gifts you won't forget, the Mercedes-Benz Winter Event.
During the Cold War, the United States developed the SR-71 Blackbird, and it's still the fastest plane ever made. It has stood the test of time against all challengers, just like gold. Hi, I'm William Devane, and I buy gold because it helps protect my assets against out-of-control debt. I buy gold every chance I get from Roslyn Capital. Just as this plane evaded radar, gold helps my portfolio steer clear of global chaos. Gold helps put me at the controls of my own financial future. If this plane made you feel safer, imagine what owning gold can do. Help preserve your wealth. Buying gold is easy at Roslyn Capital. So ask yourself, are you safe?
Call now for your free gold, silver, and IRA transfer kits. Call 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900. That's 800-630-8900.
When news breaks, Shannon Bream delivers.
We've got a live report with breaking details.
Fox News at Night with Shannon Bream. Weeknights on Fox News Channel. America is watching.
Successful and driven, pushing the limits and claiming the rewards. It's called living the dream, and you're doing it. You deserve comfort and relaxation. It's time to treat your senses to the new X77 massage chair from X-Chair. Luxuriate in a relaxation so deep, you'll lose yourself in the moment. The X77 massage chair puts therapist-level technology and touch quality at your command. This immersive experience was crafted by a Japanese shiatsu master. You choose the mode and let X77 take it from there. From kneading to tapping to stretching, X77 will relax and rejuvenate tight, tired muscles from your glutes to your neck, your calves to your feet, and your shoulders to your hands. We've got you covered all the way down to your fingertips. This holiday season, save $1,000 on the new X77 massage chair and get a free X-Chair with code MASSAGE. Live the dream and buy now.
When we started our business, we were paying like an arm and a leg for the postage. I remember setting up ShipStation. I think it was just like 1 or 2 clicks. Everything was up and running. I was printing out labels and saving money.
ShipStation saves us so much time. It makes it really easy and seamless. Pick an order, print everything you need, slap the label onto the box, and it's ready to go.
Our cost for shipping, like, we're cut in half, just like that.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/try and get 2 months free.
We're excited to do business with you, but before we sign, I gotta ask.
Sure, anything.
We searched you online, and maybe you can explain this?
Can't believe that garbage is still coming in. That is so false.
Frustrated with your online search results? Call Reputation Defender today to join tens of thousands who've improved their online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 1-877-866-8555.
Record. It's the rematch that could signal the end times. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in 2024.
Hillary Clinton said that if you win again, it is the end of democracy. Will this be a rematch?
Oh, I have no idea. I hope so. I mean, I'd like that. But look, the woman's crooked as can be.
Ugh, I miss that. We don't deserve him. And there's speculation that Hillary is gearing up for another run after a new round of TV appearances where she keeps throwing jabs at Trump.
If I were a betting person right now, I say Trump is going to run again. This is a make or break point. Are we going to give in to all of this, all these lies and this disinformation and this organized effort to undermine our rule of law and our institutions? Or are we going to stand up to it?
I'm so happy she finally brought up the Russian collusion hoax. You know, Dagan, it's this. If you follow the arc of a perfect story that followed the script, beginning, middle, and end, this is the end. This is exactly. If this were a simulation, this is exactly what we're supposed to get.
Yes. We know she's running again because she hot rolled her hair.
Yes. That's what I do.
Southern women know. It's like, oh, she's broken out the hot curlers.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of questions about Jeffrey Epstein if she decides to run again. I would greatly look forward to that, in addition to the Russia collusion hoax and the dossier and all of that. But to me, this seems like a sequel, like Battlefield Earth 2, that nobody's really asking for.
I don't know. I kind of want this. You know what? Here's the deal, Lawrence. Fox doesn't need this. We're like huge. We're the greatest cable news network that will ever be. But CNN and MSNBC need this.
Oh, yeah, they need it.
Because they need this. CNN is like about a month away from closing up shop. This could save them.
This is another Rocky fight, and
Yes.
they need it. Here's the deal. Hillary is not over this, but so are the Democratic voters. They're not over it, just in a different way. The thought of that election gives them PTSD.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that she would be able to get the nomination because she is the guy, she's the person, not the guy, she's the person that couldn't beat Donald Trump. And there'll be forever a stain on her record.
She gives them PTSD. Bill gives them... Yeah. Don't we need new blood?
I guess. I did the numbers, though. Trump would be 78.
Yes.
Hillary would be 77.
Wow.
Joe Biden would be 82.
Jeez Louise.
Kamala Harris' approval rating as of last week was 28%. I did a Greg Gutfeld for you, okay?
Yes.
As Greg would say, if this were a fight on the playground, everyone would have a black eye, right? Trump is tied to January 6th, and he lost to Biden. Clinton lost to Trump, and she lost to Obama. Gavin Newsom faced down a recall, but he has issues coming out of COVID. Schools, mandates, liberal state. Pete Buttigieg is running the supply chain, but you have to go to the port in California, right? Yes, it's entirely possible, but I agree with you. It would be really good for cable.
That was good.
Yes. But you know what? He brought up Gavin Newsom, which I think is the front runner. And DeSantis. Could you imagine that as the governor versus governor? Two different approaches.
Record against
have
record.
it out. First of all, I'd like to go on the record and say that hot rollers were some of the best inventions ever, and I think they should make a comeback. Secondly, you earlier said you think the Democrats want a clean slate. I think that is true, and I do not think that she wipes the slate clean for the Democrats. I think they would be dreading that. The other thing is that Hillary Clinton can't catch a break. She wanted to make news on Sunday about how she might put her toe back in the water, but guess what? Joe Manchin stole all her news on Fox News Sunday.
There you go. There you go. By the way, I don't like it when you use things that I've said in an earlier block that contradicts what I say later.
Oh.
People aren't, but the blocks are completely different. So when I say they want a clean slate, but they want this, those are two separate. It's so not fair.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.